Today's guest is somebody I knew I wanted right from the start, so I'm absolutely delighted to finally pin her down during lockdown. Grace Fodor is the founder of the pro-age makeup brand Srudio10, a makeup brand aimed at women over 35. And if you've never heard of it before, I can strongly recommend it. It's something that I use every day. Not only that, she's at the forefront of pro-age campaigning, so I can't wait to have a conversation with Grace this morning. So I am delighted to finally pin down Grace Fodor and the founder of Srudio10. So, hi Grace, finally we made it.
We have. How are you, Rachel?
I'm great, thank you. How are you doing in lockdown?
Do you know what? I'm doing okay because I'm working. So work's just busy, but restructuring an office at home with 3 teenagers in the house. 1 13 going, well, I don't need to do any school work because I'm not going back to school. So half the lessons or half the subjects I don't need to worry about. Yeah. And then a 17-year-old and a 21-year-old who's in the middle of her dissertation. She's a politics student. So she's really focusing, working hard, wants to be up at 8. She's exercising. So it's a little bit difficult at times because the 13-year-old really just wants to party and be on, chatting to her mates at 2 o'clock in the morning, and the 21-year-old wants to be in bed and asleep by 10 because she's up early doing her work.
Yeah. But how is it feeling? Because you're not obviously kind of in your office environment. How do you work well from home?
You work well from home because you just get the chance to really focus. There's no distractions. Saying that though, the team, we're Zooming a lot more. And in a really strange way, I almost think the remote working is going to be a new norm.
Yeah.
I think a lot of businesses are realizing actually there is, from a productivity perspective, I've read articles saying, working from home is actually more productive. You're spending more time, working than commuting. You're not as exhausted.
Yeah.
So I think it will be quite interesting post all of this, how businesses are run, where they're based. I think there'll be a lot more remote working.
Yeah.
Maybe just meeting up for face-to-face contact and meetings, but I don't think it'll be every day commuting into cities.
No, I agree. It'll be interesting to see what happens. If anybody doesn't know you and haven't heard about the brand, how do you describe yourself and Srudio10?
I would describe myself firstly as a pro-age warrior. That's my passion, is to redefine middle age. Middle age is not a dirty word. There's outdated stereotypes that just don't reflect how middle-aged 40, 50-year-old women live their lives, their desires, their dreams. So I think that's my mission.
Yeah.
Obviously a beauty expert and the founder of Srudio10, which is a makeup brand formulated for mature skins, with the idea that you don't use the same skincare in your 40s, 50s, 60s as you did in your 20s. So why do we use the same makeup? Because, our skin changes, you have different needs. And I also wanted to just make it really easy. I believe in the power of makeup. If you look good on the outside, you feel good on the inside. It's a pick-me-up. Interesting with, COVID, I'm working from home.
Yeah.
But I'm doing my makeup every day.
I am.
I'm still, I'm not washing my hair as regularly as I did. I don't really need to. But, I'm still doing my makeup. Still make sure I've got a nice top on with my tracksuit bottoms and slippers. But it's, emotionally and psychologically, I think it's a really important tool for us to use in building confidence. And the other thing I wanted to do is just make it easy, because so many women told me that it's too complicated, all these techniques, there's so many different products. So I was in my mind thinking, let's just make this really simple, as simple as brushing your teeth and your hair in the morning. So you should be able to do your makeup. So very simplified. And it's not so much about getting lots of different looks and what's in the season. It's just using makeup to put your best version forward, if that makes sense. Very natural.
I love it. I mean, so you know that I'm a huge fan. I wear it every single day. And it is something that I just wouldn't be without now, because it just it just suits me. Your makeup really suits me, and it is quick and easy. But where did the inspiration come from in the first place to do it?
Thank you. Well, my background was beauty, makeup, and the beauty industry. And the inspiration was really when I was in my 40s, looking into the marketplace and thinking, why isn't there a makeup brand that really meets my needs? As someone who was middle-aged, my skin is changing, the texture of my skin, you know, even the coloration. There's all these sort of signs of aging, which we spend a fortune, don't we, on skincare, and I just thought, aging is part of life and it's to be embraced, but there are things you can do along the way, and makeup's such a powerful medium. And I just thought, okay, I want to use makeup, but it's got to be quick, it's got to be easy, and I wanted it formulated for my skin. So your skin's much drier as you age. For example, under eye thins a lot more, so you get darker circles. I wanted a lot of, SPF and skincare ingredients, hyaluronic acid, because everybody says, makeup clogs the pores. So I wanted something that was breathable, which didn't negatively affect my skin. So I spent a lot of time on the formulas. And then even looked at the texture, because certain textures don't work well on aging skin. So, as you know, a lot of my products are cream or emulsions. They blend, they buff into the skin. Not as long lasting, obviously, as using powder products, but I thought what I wanted is products that are ultra natural on the skin. And I have this sort of phrase, which is second skin, because creme you can blend, you can buff it into the skin. It just looks like your skin, but better. So that was the inspiration, I guess, out of my own personal need. And just like a handful of products, 4 or 5 products, and then that's it. A lot, a lot of multi-purpose, multi-function.
We do overbuy, don't we? We do overbuy. We are all really guilty of going into shops and thinking that we need all these different things and spend a fortune on stuff, and actually hardly ever use any of them.
It's so true. You end up with a drawer full of products and makeup, and also, going into department stores. I've done it before. And get someone to do my makeup. They use a whole raft of products. What's interesting about that is it never feels like me. You know how you can do a makeup look which isn't you, and what I wanted to do was I want to be me, but a fresher, better version of myself. So if you've got dark circles, if you've got redness around the eyes, it makes you look tired. I don't want to look tired. I wanted my skin to have an even, to be even. So it's, I've got a lot of age spots, which obviously comes with age. I've also got vitiligo. So I wanted to even out my skin tone, and then just start to add in areas that I need a bit of a pick-me-up. So, as you know, all the sort of complexion boosters, the blush and the bronze, is all about really brightening the complexion, inner glow. And then a little bit of definition. So brows, lips where we need it, because we lose definition. Everything heads south, so we need to use makeup to give us a little bit of a lift, but still be you. And I think that's the sort of most important thing to me, because it's not about anti-age, it's not about looking younger. It's about pro-age, embracing age, being proud of the age that it is, and celebrating it. And I think that's what Srudio10 is about, celebrating your age.
So how do we get away from this anti-aging massive industry in the beauty industry? It's just, that's all they talk about, and it drives me insane. How do we get away from that?
Yeah, it's true. And I always say, if you want to change the way we feel about something, we need to change the way we talk about it. So there's a responsibility on all of the big beauty brands, but also fashion, film, media, music industry, to actually embrace age and middle-aged women and older women in their advertising campaigns, in their videos. Because there's this sort of belief, isn't there, that beauty equals youth and youth equals beauty. And it's like, well, beauty is ageless. So we should be celebrating that. So I think part of it is changing the way that we talk about aging, whether that's through words or whether that's through imagery. And, you know, marketing companies being a big part of that.
Have you seen a change in the last few years? Do you think we are making steps forward? I do, definitely. You can see it, and there are, you know, ads with Helen Mirren in them, or so yeah, it is changing. Is it changing quickly enough? I'm not sure. I think part of it is it takes years to change perception, stereotypes. You know, I've done quite a lot of research into it, and particularly I'm interested in middle-aged women in the workplace. And you know, what's interesting about that is with a man in the workplace comes maturity, gravitas, value. It's seen as a positive, whereas with women, it's seen as a negative. Yeah.
And that's changing. And that takes us into ageism as well. You know, is ageism the last ism that we need to look at as a society? Yeah. And it doesn't exist in all societies, because in some countries and cultures, you know, age is the older you are, comes wisdom and respect. And, you know, we embrace it. That's what we're living our life to achieve. So it's a massive achievement. It's just a negative. But I do think it's changing. And you can see it through TV, you know, like with Grace and Frankie and stuff like that. So I think when big media companies, TV, film, music industry, fashion, beauty start really taking responsibility, then we'll see bigger shifts.
I mean, you did loads of research, and I first met you when you were doing the talks with Patsy Kensit around Marks and Spencer's, and you did a talk, didn't you, talking about Peru.
Yeah.
What kind of things surprised you about the women that came to that? What were the common themes about women, what they said about how they felt about aging?
Yeah, no, it's interesting, because if you look at press and you listen to a lot of women, you know, on Facebook, they're like, I'm proud of my age. And so they talk it, but then when you sort of scratch beneath the surface, it's amazing how women don't feel confident or embrace their age either. So I think it's quite a deep emotional time from a lot of women, you know, 40s, if you've got children, they're growing up or they're leaving home, you might have been out of the workplace, you're coming back into the workplace, you're not maybe going after a promotion because you don't feel as confident in the way that you did 10 years before. Younger generation is coming through into the workplace, it's making you feel old. And of course then you're moving into menopause, which, you know, is a massive shift, biological, emotional, psychological, physical shift that we go through. So it's a lot to deal with. Most women tell me they lose confidence. They don't feel as attractive as they did. They worry about aging. And I guess all of us relate to that. But my view is, it is a fact of life, and you can chase the holy grail of youth, and that's a lot of energy to never really achieve it, instead of changing the mindset to see the beauty in aging and embrace it, celebrate it, and enjoy life. But for me, it's a mindset, isn't it? Which way you're going to go. So it takes work. You know, when you every day, when you see your body changing, you know, you look in the mirror and you see physical signs of aging. So it might be wrinkles. I've noticed my neck, you know, it is saggier. Or it might be, I now have to wear reading glasses. I now need to use reading glasses. There's all these signs of changing where you're changing with it. And there is a sort of sadness. And I think the sadness is the loss of youth, but in the sense of the loss of time. so I'm going to be 54 in August, and I'm thinking about, we all have dreams and ambitions and aspirations, but there are some things you're not going to be able to do, that maybe you could have done 15 years ago or 20 years ago, or, time's not on your side. And I think for me, that's the element that I feel. So I've got a real sense of, right, you've got to do it now. Life's too short, make the most of it. And especially when I've lost a couple of really close friends of mine. I've now lost my parents. So like, this is not a dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
It's the sort of, people say it's the last chapter or the last phase, and I'm like, right, I'm going to make this happen.
Yeah.
So for me, that's probably the marked change, if that makes sense.
So how did you mark your 50th? Because I'm 50 next week, and I had planned a nice big party, and obviously we're in lockdown, so that's not happening. I'll make up for it later. But was turning 50 a real kind of milestone for you, or was it just another number?
Weirdly, all of my birthdays were really big milestones. When I turned 30, it was a milestone. 40, 50 was a really big milestone in my head. And it's interesting when we talk about outdated stereotypes and definitions of aging. And I was like, yeah, 40, 50, there's no difference. Emotionally and psychologically, for me, saying out loud that I'm 50, I'm 52, going to be 54, sounds so much older than if you're in your 40s. Even my psyche, after all these years of conditioning, is, wow, that sounds really old. And I've got friends who are turning 60, and I'm like, 60? That's going to be me in a few years. How did we get to 60? And that sounds, so redefining what middle age and then into age looks like. It's not the stay at home knitting and have no life. So all those stereotypes, the images, all need to change, because I think age is really just a number.
Yeah, and it's not something that I really have been conscious of until this week, when it's now looming, and I have suddenly got this. It's not a fear, it's that feeling of, God, I've just got to make the most of everything I do now. I've got so much.
Absolutely.
And it's probably given me even more fire to chase after things. I hope, we'll see. But it's definitely pushed things to the forefront in my head, the things I want to just get out and do.
I felt exactly the same. It's the next chapter. And it is different to your 40s, but also a big part of, because I was also bringing up a family. So I had, young children at home, and, married. So my sort of home life, my family life was the priority. Always worked, always had a career through all of my children. So it didn't really give me much time for myself to really think about, well, what do I need? What do I want? What are my ambitions? I was drawn into trying to be a good mum, be a good wife, working. So when you hit 50, now that my girls are growing up or grown up, you start to sort of reclaim yourself, don't you, a little bit?
Yeah.
And make some big decisions about your life, and you get almost like a new sense of agency or a new sense of self. And I think that's important. So I think there's a lot of women in their 40s, this is the positive, in their 40s into their 50s, who reclaim themselves and reclaim their lives. And that's exciting.
Yeah, and I think that's the frustrating thing. I think, from my point of view, I see all these women that are doing amazing things in their 40s and 50s and 60s, and the press don't necessarily put that portrayal out there into the media. And I think that's the thing they've got to catch up with, because it's not like our parents' generation, is it? We are all getting out there doing so many different things.
So true. And also, I've read loads of articles, and as you know, I've got Grace's Musings, where I do a weekly opinion article, and I look at the press and see what they're writing. I mean, I read something that said, you know, if you're over the age of 35, you're too old to shop in Zara. If you're over 40, you can't have long hair.
Yeah.
You know, you can't go clubbing. All this sort of stuff. And I'm like, who says who? Who says I can't go clubbing? And actually, for my 50th, I went to Ibiza clubbing till 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to have some, you know, newspaper or journalist tell me I'm too old to go clubbing. So that whole debate, you know, you're too old to do this, or, you know, you're not able, you shouldn't be seen to be doing it, I just find infuriating.
Yeah, me too. How do you feel about people's makeup then as they change? Because obviously I know lots of people that have stayed in the same kind of makeup pattern from their 20s and now have got to their 40s and are too scared to make changes because it's all they ever know. What would you recommend for women that do need to probably re-look at how they do their makeup but are scared to just make that step?
Yeah, I mean, there's sort of the women that I meet, they fall into two camps. One, exactly as you said, they're doing the same makeup as they did in their 20s, or they've stopped doing, they're like, oh no, I don't have time to do my makeup. Oh no, I can't be bothered, or don't use makeup. I had one lady who I met said, you know, I use skincare, but I don't want to use makeup. And I said, well, when you think of Srudio10, think of Srudio10 as skincare with, you know, skincare makeup. So you use skincare. The reason all of us use skincare and healthy and very best it can, the makeup does that as well. And in fact, it's much quicker to get a result with makeup. Caveat, it does wash off. So for me, a little bit of makeup the first step is to just even the skin tone. Just give you a really nice, even skin tone. Transformed. If you then can add a little bit of definition, so brows thin, a pop of colour, so whether that's a bronze or a nice peachy blush, just to wake up the complexion. It's transformational and it's really, really not difficult at all. It's just choosing the right products. And even from a, you know, makeup lesson, step by step, how to, there's so much on YouTube. But when you actually watch all those programs, it's very much, you know, how to get all these amazing looks. And I think most women our age, that's not how we use makeup. Maybe if we're going out, we want to have a little bit of a smoky eye, but it's about, for me, it's your daily makeup routine to be your best version. It's almost like wake up makeup.
Yeah.
And you know, if you are tired and you look tired. If you look tired, you feel tired.
Yeah.
And I know
psychological,
every day, even when I, you know, yeah, it's massively psychological. And I say that because if a lot of middle-aged women don't feel as confident, there might be fear around aging, not feeling as attractive. There's all these emotions, and then the menopause comes in and it sort of changes everything. And it really, you know, it's major. And I've had friends who have suffered from really deep depression and through menopause. And so for me, that using makeup, whether it's makeup, doing your hair, and it's, you know, I think I said this actually with Patsy, we were talking about it when you were there in Leeds. You know that feeling when you go out and you're going to an event and you've had your hair done and you buy a new outfit, you look in the mirror and you look and feel $1 million. You're the same person as you were an hour before then. And that for me is the power of makeup or fashion. And for me, it sort of plays to that, you know, you're worth it. Put a little bit of time into yourself is sort of, it's definitely helped me and it gives me a boost.
But how ambitious are you for the future then? Because obviously there's a lot of women over 35 to reach out there. How do you see yourself progressing? What would you like to see?
Well, I think my biggest ambition is this, you know, I'm a pro-age warrior like you. I want to redefine beauty for women, define aging.
Yeah.
I think the stereotypes are really out of date. I believe, you know, there is beauty in every age, and beauty is ageless. So for me, that's my passion. I'd like to see difference, you know, a real difference in society, not just for our generation, but our children's generation.
Yeah.
And ageism does exist for men and women. So, you know, I want ageism stamped out like every other ism. And embrace aging and see the beauty in it.
You're also,
so that's my sort of purpose.
Yeah. I mean, you're also one of the founders of Advocates for Aging, aren't you?
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about that? What's that?
So we're all on a mission.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, can you tell us a little bit about what's the idea behind it, behind the group?
I think the idea was there's all these individuals, you included, we're all these pro-age warriors. So Judgement, who's got a fashion brand, you know, she said ageism is never in style. So she's got the same passion as I have around aging and pro-age. And we realised actually as a group, we're more powerful than the individuals, and we're all achieving and striving for the same thing. So that was the idea about it. So we can really get it on the agenda. And as I said earlier, if you want to change the way we think about something or how we feel about something, we've got to change the conversation. We've got to change the way we talk about it. So the more of us that are out there banging that drum, the better.
And there does feel like a real sense of community now out there about this pro-age group. There's a lot more people coming on board and sharing the same message in a different way. And I think it's quite exciting to see what will happen, actually.
Yeah, no, me too. Really exciting.
So
and it's changing.
Go on.
I was saying, you can, as I said earlier, you can see the changes, can't you? You can see it through TV and film, fashion, beauty, music, you know, and also there's been a whole load of, you know, famous, you know, celebrities all turning 50, turning 60. And I think that's helping, having, you know, role models.
Yeah, I think I think the more particularly more female celebrities that come out and start showing themselves in their authentic way and talking about pro-aging, the better, really, because that will just give other people, like say, role models. It's needed, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you travel a lot around the world with your brand?
Srudio10, yeah. I mean, obviously not now, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Yeah, so all of our manufacturing is in Europe predominantly. We do a little bit in the States. So Germany, Italy, so I spend a lot of time in Europe. And then from a retail perspective or a marketing perspective, I've been everywhere from, you know, Australia to Japan to and I like that side because I like the different cultures. And it is interesting because even though there's lots of different countries and lots of different cultures, there is a commonality around middle age, and women's feelings or not concerns, but fears around it or views around it are the same the world over.
But is there a difference in the way that they're portrayed in society in different countries, though? Have you noticed any countries that are much more pro-aging than others?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you go into a lot of time in China, so aging has almost a lot more, is more accepting, and it's entwined in the culture. Yeah. And there are a lot more respect with it. So respecting, you know, aging or and my mother was Portuguese, so, and my father Hungarian. So, you know, in Portugal, you know, the grandmother or the grandfather is the central point of a family unit. And, you know, in places like Portugal and Spain, I don't know if it's weather-based but older people are much more active. So, you know, in the evenings, you walk down to the beach, you're at cafes, restaurants, the culture is very different. But you'd get all the grandparents out walking, you know, till 12 o'clock with their children or their grandchildren. It just seems much more, what's the word? Not as disjointed.
Yeah.
It's much more blended.
Yeah. It's more intergenerational, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, way more intergenerational. And also a lot of women in Europe, you know, they do invest in their hair or their makeup, their clothing. Even my mum into her, you know, early 80s would still dye her hair, for instance. Big conversation about, do you go grey or don't you go grey? But, you know, for her, that's what she wanted to do. She still dyed her hair, still put on a bit of makeup, and she was still, you know, concerned about what she wore. And I just thought, what a really good role model, that just because you hit a certain age, you don't need to worry anymore. And I really like that.
That's the one thing I was going to ask you about as well, is you just touched on it now. How do we stop this female judgment? Because I get so tired of hearing, you know, people saying you should dye your hair, you shouldn't dye your hair, you should have it long, you should have it short. You know, why can't we all just accept that we're all different and we'll do it our own way without having that judgment? But women, I think, are really bad at it.
Oh, I know.
How do we stop?
Almost, yeah, because it's interesting, because I've had women say, if you're pro-age, what's your view on dyeing your hair, or what's your view on Botox or surgery or any of those things? How can you be pro-age if you think that stuff's fine? And my view is really singular, and I'm quite passionate about it, that there is no right or wrong way to age, right? That it's for no one to say you can do this and you can do that and you can't do this. It is, I always say, do what's right for you, because of you, and what makes you happy. And then it's for every single one of us to support that, which means don't judge. And that judgment, I'm with you, it's so damaging. It's so damaging. And I do think women can be really judgmental.
Yeah. I met a friend a few months ago in a supermarket, who I'd not seen for a couple of years, who's just started letting her hair go grey. And she was nearly in tears when she saw me, because she said, I haven't seen you for ages, your hair looks great. I've decided to let mine go out. But my friends have been so awful that I'm just going to give up and dye it again. And I thought, God, no, why can't we just...
That's wrong. Yeah. It's so wrong. It's such a personal choice. It's such a personal choice. And one of my dearest girlfriends, she decided to go grey. So she's probably 96% grey. She's probably completely grey now, because I haven't seen her in lockdown. But she went grey. She cut her hair into a bob, and she looks absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning, amazing. And what's really fantastic about it, it's like she's grown into it. It's changed her in herself and her psyche, and she wears it, and it's amazing. But for me, I'll probably be like my mum, still dyeing my hair when I'm 84. So, but it's a personal choice. There's no right or wrong. And for me, that judgment, and that women will not do something because of their friends putting pressure on them, or so part of my pro-age is, you know, if you want to do Botox, then do it.
Yeah.
Who am I anyway to say that's wrong, or you've got to age gracefully? No, you age the way that you want to age, do you? And it's for all of us to support our friends and our family in that journey. And that's what makes it exciting, because you can truly be you. Whereas, you know, all those years when you're growing up, or teenage angst, or trying to be the perfect mother, or you know, you sort of lose yourself a little bit. And now I think it's the time to reclaim who you are and do what's right for you and enjoy it.
I am so on the same page as you, Grace. I could talk to you for hours about this.
I know, we'll still be doing this, so we're at 85.
Hello. Do you have a kind of celebrity beauty role model then that you think has just got it spot on at the moment?
Well, I guess for me, because I'm in that age bracket, all of the celebrities who've been turning, 50, mid-50s, 60s. So there are some amazing, like the Hollywood actresses. I love Julianne Moore. I think she is phenomenal. Jennifer Aniston, I think fantastic. And she did that whole series where she was in shorts. And I like women who push the boundaries. You can say, well, just because I'm this age, it doesn't mean I can't do something. And they're forcing the issue. Madonna, I think, I don't really like her music. Sorry, never did. But I think she's phenomenal. And then, Judi Dench and the Helen Mirrors, Judi Dench at 80 getting a tattoo, and I'm like, yeah, why not? In fact, that was something else that I did last year.
You did,
I got a tattoo.
Yeah, it's on my list. I am thinking about having it. We'll see.
You're not too old to get a tattoo.
We'll see. Did it hurt?
I know, it's great. And I think, what? The one thing about getting older, the real benefit, I think, is fundamentally you don't care as much, do you? You don't care about what people say or think as much. That is one thing I think that comes with age. It's like, well, this is who I am. And if I'm happy with me and my family love me, then I don't need to compete against anybody or try to be better than them or a more perfect version. That pressure that we put on ourselves as women, I think, is a female thing. You just don't need to.
Well, I love what you're doing, so keep on going. It's fabulous. Well, I'm so pleased that we've
had
today.
Thank you.
So the last 3 questions, this might throw you a bit. I ask all the guests the same questions, and I know you've not had time to think about this, so this will be interesting.
No. So have you got 2 children?
Have you got a favourite song that motivates you?
A favourite song, not a favourite song per se, but I'm really into like listening to all of my girls' music, because that makes that like pop music, listening to their music. They're laughing at me. They're in the kitchen. And my all-time favourite song, which is, I hear it and it's instant party, has been for years, is American Pie. I don't know what it is, where I first heard it. And now all of my friends, when they hear it, they go, oh my God, that's Grace's song.
Brilliant.
And it's just instant party.
Yeah. What about...
I'll be anywhere and I'll start dancing in the street.
What about a book that inspired you?
What about what?
A book that's inspired you.
Oh, I've got this. Okay, so a book that I read when I was 21 years old, I've probably read 10, 15 times since. It is my blueprint for life. I bought it for loads of different people. I think I might have even mentioned it to you when we first met. And that is Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Yes.
Brilliant book, because fear stops us. So stops us in our lives from really achieving our dreams and our ambitions. And but actually it gets in the way. So Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway is the book.
You did recommend it to me, and I have read it about 3 times since. I love it. It is my go-to book, so thank you. And who inspires you?
Who what?
Who inspires you?
Do you know what? Lots of people inspire me, you included. I think you're amazing, amazing. I love what you do. My girls inspire me, but most days I think about my mum and my dad, because I've lost them both in the last few years, and they inspire me every day. And I wrote an article on, the aspects of my dad, almost gifts that he gave me, my mum. So I would say them, definitely. And I quite often, if I'm faced with a situation, I think, well, what would my dad do in this situation? How would mum? And it's not just a source of inspiration, it's a real source of strength and courage and peace, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because even though they're not here, I still very much carry them with me.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely them. And you?
Well, likewise, right back at you. And thank you so much for today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh,
and hopefully we will meet up sometime in the future.
Do it again. Oh,
yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so. We can be the one. We can technically meet now, and we can get in the car and we can drive. So we'll have to meet in Birmingham or somewhere. And go for a long walk for 7 hours, because it'll take us 3.5 hours to get together.
Yeah, lovely to speak to you. Take care. And
nice to talk to you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Grace.
Lots of love. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
As always, there's never enough time, but if you've enjoyed listening to Grace and you want to find out more about the brand, please go to their website, Studio10beauty.com. You can also follow them on social media. You can follow them on Instagram at Studio10Makeup, Twitter at Studio10Beauty, and Facebook at Studio10. I'll be back next week, but in the meantime, keep being fabulous.